Daniel's decision. There are so many things to go over with you here. First of all, Babylon went into Jerusalem 3 times. The third time, it totally destroyed it. The first time, they just took the brightest of the young men, the most capable, and the most beautiful women, and took them back to Babylon. It was their decision if they could take the very best young men from all the different countries to serve in the Babylonian court, that this would make them stronger. This was a 500-mile walk. We think about Daniel going into captivity, going to Babylon. Nothing is mentioned of that, but they had to walk 500 miles to get from one place to the other. I think it's interesting in this story and what is common. We refer to Daniel with his Hebrew name. See, all of the people were given Babylonian names, including Daniel. But we refer to him as Daniel, which is his Hebrew name. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that is their Babylon name. No significance. I just think it's interesting how we refer to them differently. This captivity changed Judah forever. It changed their worldview from an independent nation with their own monarchy, doing everything that they wanted to being a province of a world power. It was a crisis for the people, one they fought against. And yet, it was the beginning of Daniel's ministry. When he went to, who knows what he would have done in Jerusalem. He would have probably been a great man. But his abilities to impact the world was greatly increased by going to Babylon. His ministry spans the entire 70-year captivity. Jeremiah said they'd be in captivity for 70 years. Daniel was one of the first ones taken out. And he was able to live long enough to see the first of the people go back. So his life spans the entire time. Daniel and his friends were, their resolve was a result of Josiah's reforms and Jeremiah's preaching. Josiah was the last great king, and he was the last godly king of Judah. And I think in many ways God placed him right there to better prepare the people to go into captivity. He only served, he died in his late 30s, but yet he was able to provide a spiritual foundation for the people that went into the land. And of course, Jeremiah's teaching also, his preaching encouraged the people to submit, not to fight it, and told the people to build houses and plant vineyards and get married and help your children get married and just stay there because you're not going anywhere for 70 years. And I think this influenced Daniel and those that were there. Daniel also provides a model on how to live godly and yet work the system when possible. See, at this point, they hadn't had to do that. There was a mixture. Yes, he worked the system, but he also did it by first living godly. We see 2 stories, one where he was giving a command of something that he could not do, eat the king's food and to worship the golden idol. In both cases, Daniel lived godly. In one way, he worked the system. In the other one, he just couldn't work the system. It was stacked against him. and he just lived godly in any way. So we were given this great example. In this right here, he shows how he knew several things. Daniel was a man of wisdom. First of all, he knew right from wrong. Again, we go back to Josiah's reforms to probably help him in that area. He knew right from wrong. But he also knew how to find the right motivation, to find the real motivation. They wanted him to do something that was against God's law, but he had to ask, why do they want me to do it? It would be assumed they want me to violate God's laws, so I would become Babylonian, and they're just doing this on purpose. They know that I can't eat this food, but no, he sought for the real motivation. The real motivation is so that he'd be healthy. So he was able to find that. And then 3, he knew how to create an alternative solution. He was able to look into that and say, if that's your motivation, let's try it this way. And then he knew how to craft his words. He knew how to carefully select what words he was used. He was not quick to get into it. I personally need to learn how to do that. I know how to craft words, but I don't know how to do them in such a way where I don't offend people. Number 5, he knew how to give those words with a right attitude. So he knew right from wrong. He knew how to find the real motivation behind a bad command. He knew how to create an alternative solution. He knew how to craft his words carefully, and then he knew how to give those words in with a right motivation. People have studied Daniel's methods down through the centuries, but also gave the people in captivity insight on how to live in a land where there was a pagan kingdom over them and still live godly. Come back next week when we continue on with more insights on the story of the week. We'll see you next week.